Hey everyone, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something we literally all do. We are demystifying the psychology behind the screens we stare at all day long. We're going to decode the exact reasons why we click, why we scroll, and why we buy. If you've ever felt like your phone just kind of has a mind of its own, well, you're about to discover the science that proves it actually does. So, be honest with me. Do you ever wonder why you just can't stop scrolling, even when you know for a fact you should be going to sleep? It's just our modern reality. We are constantly nudged, pinged, and prompted by our devices. But here's the secret. This isn't an accident, and it's definitely not a lack of willpower on your part. It's actually the result of highly engineered design. To really get this, we need to talk about a fascinating field called Captology. It's a term coined way back in 1996 by Dr. B.J. Fogg over at Stanford. It stands for Computers as Persuasive Technologies. Captology is basically the academic sweet spot where human persuasion, things like influence, motivation, and behavior change, intersects with computing technology. It is the absolute foundation for understanding how digital products are built to literally change our attitudes and actions. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with the science of persuasion, break down the behavior change formula, analyze motivation versus ability, and uncover the power of triggers. Then, we'll see this in action by designing for dopamine and wrap it all up with the ethical UX dilemma. Let's get into it. Section 1. The Science of Persuasion, Engineering Human Behavior. Listen, successful persuasive design is absolutely not a guessing game. It is a rigorous science. The researchers at the Stanford Behavior Design Lab figured out that our behavior isn't random at all. It's actually the product of three very specific factors coming together at the exact same moment. The apps and websites we use every day, they're specifically engineered using a highly structured psychological model to make sure those factors align perfectly. Which brings us to Section 2, the behavior change formula. Demystifying B equals MAP. Dr. B.J. Fogg created this behavior model that shows us exactly how this works. For any target behavior to happen, three things absolutely must align: motivation, ability, and a prompt. B equals MAP. If just one of those three is missing, the behavior simply won't happen. Think of motivation on a vertical scale from low to high, and ability, or how simple something is, on a horizontal scale. When a person has high motivation and high ability, their chances of actually doing the target behavior just skyrocket. You basically have to cross the specific activation threshold for a prompt to even work on you. Section 3. Motivation versus ability, the psychological trade-off. So, designers have a few different levers they can pull. To boost your motivation, they rely on things like pleasure and pain, hope and fear, or social acceptance and rejection. But here's the catch. Making people care is incredibly hard. We naturally resist it. So instead, designers usually focus on ability, which is all about simplicity. Because, let's face it, humans are fundamentally kind of lazy. Products that ask us to learn really hard, complicated new things usually fail. Making an action simpler by saving us time or money or brain power is almost always more effective than begging us to care. Here is a perfect example of this trade-off in action. Imagine a website wants you to sign up for a newsletter. On one hand, you just type in your email. It's super easy, high ability. So even if you're only mildly motivated, you'll probably just do it. Now imagine they ask you to solve a difficult calculus puzzle just to hit submit. Your ability drops to 0. You are not going to do it, even if you really want that newsletter. To get someone to solve that math puzzle, you'd have to massively increase motivation, like literally offering them $10,000. You basically have to trade high motivation to compensate for low ability. Ultimately, simplicity all comes down to whatever your scarcest resource is at the exact moment a behavior is triggered. If you're completely broke, money is your scarcest resource. If you're rushing to work, time is your scarcest resource. Think about it like this. Even if you have absolutely zero motivation to buy a new car today, if someone walked up and offered you a brand new car for exactly $1, you'd buy it. Why? Because your ability to pay one single dollar is so incredibly high that it completely overrides your lack of motivation. Moving right along to Section 4, the power of triggers, the missing piece of the puzzle. Okay, so you can have high motivation and high ability, but without a trigger, you still won't act. Dr. Fogg actually uses himself as a great example for this. He loves playing the ukulele, and it's easy for him to do. So high motivation, high ability. But some days he just doesn't practice simply because he lacks a well-timed trigger reminding him to pick it up. Timing is absolutely everything here. A trigger only works when your motivation and ability already put you above that activation threshold. The ancient Greeks actually had a brilliant word for this concept, kairos, which means the opportune moment to persuade. A perfectly timed trigger delivered at Kairos feels super helpful. A badly timed one, well, that just feels like spam. Designers actually deploy 3 different types of triggers, depending entirely on your psychological state. First up is a spark. This is used to motivate you when you just don't care, like an ad tapping into fear or hope. Next is the facilitator. If you're highly motivated but the action is just too hard, this makes it easier. Think of a one-click button that instantly syncs all your contacts. And finally, the signal. When your motivation and ability are both already high, you literally just need a reminder, like a traffic light turning green. Section 5. Designing for dopamine. The dark side of the model. Now, we have to shift gears a little bit. We're moving from the neutral academic framework of behavior change into the cautionary reality of the modern digital world. Because this model is actively applied to hijack our brain's reward chemical, dopamine. It really begs the critical question: when exactly does engagement cross the line into exploitation? It is a dangerously fine line between a genuinely helpful design and one that creates compulsive digital dependency. Let's look at how apps actively hijack our brains using some very common techniques. Take the infinite scroll on platforms like TikTok or Instagram. It creates a flow state where you just lose track of time waiting for that next rewarding post. Combine that with notifications, which give you a direct dopamine hit of urgency and social validation. Oh, and gamification. Think about Duolingo streaks. They tap right into our deep-seated fear of losing progress. Throw in some social proof and FOMO, fear of missing out, and you have a recipe for engineered patterns that trap us all in endless reward loops, leading straight to overstimulation and totally exhausting digital burnout. Which brings us to our final section, Section 6, the ethical UX dilemma, designing for delight, not dependence. Designers hold incredibly powerful psychological nudges in their hands today, and there is a massive growing movement arguing that user well-being simply has to be prioritized over basic engagement metrics. Good design has to balance business goals with our mental health. That means stepping away from dark patterns. Responsible design means using nudges really sparingly. It means giving users actual tools to manage their screen time, like Apple does. It means actively encouraging people to take a break, like when Instagram says you're all caught up, or YouTube gives you a bedtime reminder. And above all, it requires maintaining absolute transparency with users. Honestly, the whole point is summarized perfectly by this golden rule from UX magazine: design experiences you'd want for yourself. That right there is the ultimate ethical benchmark for anyone building persuasive digital technology today. It's about offering genuine value to people, not creating a psychological trap. I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. The next time you pull out your phone, take a hard look at your home screen and ask yourself, are these apps actually designed for my delight, or are they engineered for my dependence? Once you understand the psychology operating behind the screen, you actually get the power back to reclaim your time and your attention. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will catch you in the next one. Hey everyone.